You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith. Hey there, Sprouts. Today is Friday, March 5th, 2021. Today is also the feast day of an Italian saint, Saint John Joseph of the Cross. Now, all week we have been reminding ourselves of the importance of our Lenten resolutions, evaluating if we made good ones, if we've stuck with them, and we reminded ourselves that each of these resolutions was made so that we might be more like Christ. We heard about fasting through the example of St. David of Wales, about prayer through St. Agnes of Bohemia, almsgiving from St. Catherine Drexel, and yesterday we heard about the necessity of being stubborn in defending these resolutions, shown to us by the example of the Polish saint, Saint Casimir. Now today's saint, Saint John Joseph of the Cross, he shows us that even though the world around us might not notice a change, or they might not even appreciate anything that we've done, it still matters. The work of fasting, prayer, and almsgiving probably won't be noticed by the world, but that's fine. In fact, that's good. Before we hear about St. John Joseph of the Cross, I want you to remember that reading that we heard on Ash Wednesday. Christ is teaching, and he talks about prayer and fasting. And he reminds us, not if you're fasting, don't act all sad and hungry and moan and make a big deal out of it. No, keep it a secret. Wash your face. Put a smile on your face. Don't go and blab about all the hard things that you're doing. Why? Because our Father who sees in secret, he knows. He is the reason why we are doing it. We're not doing it for praise and accolades from the world around us. The same is true with almsgiving. If you're giving money away or doing these great things for lonely members of your family, that's wonderful. And yeah, tell the people that need to know, but don't brag about it. Just let it be something that God knows about. Now, the reason why St. John Joseph of the Cross is a great example of this is because I bet you haven't ever heard of him before. He is a Franciscan saint. He was a monk. He was a very humble man, and he didn't leave behind a very extreme legacy. He was a pretty simple guy. In fact, he joined the Franciscan order. He joined a very strict branch, actually, that worked very hard, had lots of different fasting that they engaged in often. But he lived a very humble life, and he would have been happy just to engage in manual labor and prayer for the rest of his life. However, the officials, the leaders of his sect of Franciscans, they saw potential in him to be a priest, so they asked him to go to seminary to become a priest, and he was obedient. He became a priest, and he devoted himself to the confessional. And it was soon realized that he had great gifts in the confessional for spiritual direction and guidance, that he gave great advice to people and really challenged them in beautiful ways. But again, he had a very simple life. He would have been very happy if his life was simply tending the garden and prayer. He continued on in this way. He touched many people's lives, but he died a quiet Franciscan monk. And it was only after his death that miracles began to be worked through his intercession. So think about this saint, St. John Joseph of the Cross. No one really cared too much about the fasting that he went through in his life, that he gave up everything to be a Franciscan, that he devoted hours to helping people in the confessional. He did all of these things quietly, without looking for praise or admiration. And because he did these things that way, they truly did help him become like Christ. Because remember, that is our only goal. We do these things so that when Christ is risen from the dead on Easter, we too, because of everything that we have done during Lent, can leave behind the depths of sin and rise up with Christ because we live more fully in Him and through Him. And so, Sprouts, finally, after a week of rethinking all of the things that we have decided to do for Lent, I want you to simply say a quick prayer through the intercession of St. John Joseph of the Cross that you can do this work with humility. St. John Joseph of the Cross, teach me to quietly become more like Christ. St. John Joseph of the Cross, pray for us. That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God created you to be. Just one more thing, I hope that you are having a blessed and holy Lent. Please be assured of our prayers for you and your family as we all work very hard to become more like Jesus Christ.